Keeping close track of the latest blizzard warnings, the wind chills, and how much more snow you can find in it tomorrow. Latest coming up.
If you're parked on a side street in Buffalo, city officials have a request for you tonight. Hear what they're asking coming up.
Bitter cold temperatures and travel bans throughout western New York didn't stop some people from braving the elements to grab a quick drink or a bite to eat. Coming up, I'll show you which restaurants were still open despite this bitter cold.
Live from Buffalo, this is your local news leader and home of Super Bowl 53. This is News 4 at 11.
Well, we live in Buffalo. We live in western New York. We should know that it snows here.
Yes, it does, but we might be used to the snow and the cold, but not like this. A vicious storm is crawling across western New York tonight. Good evening, everyone. That blizzard warning and the wind chill warning still in effect right now.
A driving ban was issued for the city of Buffalo just a couple of hours ago. That will be in effect until tomorrow at 7 a.m. Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown talked to us about the driving ban earlier tonight.
We're concerned about people getting stuck in vehicles, having to get outside of the vehicle, and then dealing with the life-threatening cold temperatures. So we thought it made sense for public safety to issue the driving ban overnight.
Travel bans are also in place in several other communities, and you can see a full list of bans, advisories, and closings on our website, WIVB.com. Our chief meteorologist, Todd Santos, has been tracking it all. He has the forewarned forecast.
Yeah, it's kind of a lonely looking scenario out there, which is great considering the driving ban. And we've had such variable conditions. I keep turning back to some of these cameras where occasionally a snowplow or a police car goes by. There's the 90 in Depew. I mean, a lot of these areas you wouldn't want to be anywhere near this stuff, considering the wind gusts 40 plus miles per hour. The latest gust into the airport hasn't been that bad, although we've seen consistent numbers right at the edge of downtown at the lighthouse over 40 miles per hour. So in the city, it's blowing and whipping around. A lot of cases, we've seen some of these big gusts. So that's what's kind of creating one of the bigger issues, especially for areas where it's not snowing right now. By tomorrow at around noontime, I think the gust potential really starts to back off. For now, we still have the blizzard warnings in effect through 1 a.m. officially. The gusts to around 40 miles per hour are still possible. And after that, the Weather Service may or may not extend the blizzard warning, but the winter storm warning either way is still in effect until tomorrow at 7 p.m. At that point, we may still have a few lingering, very light snow showers, but I don't expect to find all that much. So our southern counties, it's mainly the northern edges of Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties that'll deal with some additional snow. And I'll show you some of those totals coming up. The dual bands still hanging out across the area. These have been sagging back toward the southeast, but if you've been watching radar at all over the last, say, 24 hours, as soon as this band kind of detaches from this area of the lake, another one starts to form. So we'll still have room for that overnight tonight, but the general focus is kind of on central to southern Erie County, as opposed to those of you in, say, southern Niagara County, where you've been in and out of at least some of the lighter snow showers still today, even after getting some of the bigger totals into this morning. Clarence still getting some additional snow, but this stuff is not coming down all that heavy. The issue is it's tough to gauge in some cases. I'm gauging it using radar, whereas if you look out the window, it might be a complete whiteout. Some of it is a snow that's falling. Some of it is a snow that's blowing off your roof or your neighbor's roof. So this stuff is still, recoating a lot of these areas. Basically, the footprint of this event is about 50 miles from north to south. And these are additional totals through 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. We will see some additional snow beyond that, and I'll show you those numbers in my next segment. But I want to mention that 50-mile piece because when I measured this, it's basically 50 miles almost bisecting western New York, where you really can't get from, say, Lewiston down toward Olean. You wouldn't want to do it right now, for sure. So that's what we're looking at tonight into early tomorrow. Technically, those numbers started at 5 p.m., but we haven't gotten enough useful snow totals to really chip away at some of those. So just for what it's worth, if you haven't shoveled since 5, then well, that's what you're likely to find on the ground in the morning. There's a look at temperatures right now. These numbers, pretty substantial. Technically, that -3, now that I'm seeing that, just matches the record for the day today. So we may have actually tied a record. For tomorrow, I don't think we're going to hit a record, but we have seen the real cold side of things. The -3 record for today is actually from 2003. There's a look at the winds out of the southwest. continuing to drive the wind chill, and these are the current wind chills. This is why kids don't have school tomorrow, even in areas where there hasn't been much snow, because that minus 32 in Olean, we're likely to see numbers just like this, again, leading right into tomorrow morning, because the winds really don't settle down. Temperatures, if anything, may cool another degree or so. We could find a few areas getting low as about minus 12. This is truly that Arctic air. By the time we get to the weekend, that is going to back off big time. So we'll have more on that, and at least the limited additional snow totals through the next day or so coming up. Don, Jackie.
Thank you, Todd. Local and state officials have been keeping us up to date on the work they've been doing all day long.
Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul just gave an update about an hour ago. News 4's Erica Brecker continues our team coverage now live from North Buffalo. Erica.
Good evening, Don and Jackie. Tonight we learned that more villages, towns, and municipalities have been added to the travel ban list. I heard you mention off the top of the show the city of Buffalo now part of that. Also, Lancaster, Akron, and Newstead, while the rest of the county remains under a travel advisory. As of 8 p.m., the county had responded to 70 weather-related service calls, and they added additional staffing in their communication center to better answer those calls faster. We learned that Elma, Marilla, and Wales make up what's been the busiest district in Erie County. That's where the undersheriff says the most cars have gone off the roads, and they continue to closely watch the 400 through that area. Now, the good news of all these wrecks, we haven't heard of any very critical in nature. Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul cited only one serious injury out of that 20-car wreck on the thruway near Batavia. But with whiteout conditions around most of Erie County, some wanted to know why only parts of the county are under a ban, whereas others are under advisories.
We are communicating with staff on the ground from the Department of Public Works, the Sheriff's Office, and of course individuals associated with the other municipalities. And the general belief has been that a driving ban is not necessary for these communities.
The good news is that a lot of people are heeding our warnings, so we have actually not as many accidents as we would have anticipated because people are listening to the calls to stay home.
There are also medical personnel struggling to get to places where they work, like hospitals. The Erie County Sheriff's Office has arranged a dozen of those types of transports so far. Deputies are fully staffed and they're happy to help doctors and nurses get to hospitals. And you can arrange a ride like that by calling 989-2500. Finally, there still is a risk for flooding in northern Erie County. And that's because the winds have been so strong, they have pushed water from Lake Erie into the Niagara River, where waves are crashing on properties around Tonawanda and Grand Island. So those are areas that emergency responders are keeping a careful eye on. Reporting live in North Buffalo tonight, Erica Brecker, News 4.
The fines are steep and you will be ticketed.
Well, buses and tractor trailers were banned from the state thruway and other major roads today, but apparently not everyone got the message. State police caught several big rigs on the road today.
And some of them were involved in some major accidents. State police say 21 vehicles were part of this crash on the thruway near Batavia. So you can see some tractor trailers were among them, and they are not allowed to be on the thruway between Rochester and the Pennsylvania state line. Governor Cuomo talked about how important this ban is when he was in Cheektowaga today.
One jackknife trailer can close an entire road and can take hours to clear by the time you get the equipment and the tow trucks, etc.
It's not safe for man nor beast. And while I've seen a lot of this before, I mean, it always plays out the same way. And I would advise everybody to please stay off the roads. And I'm sure the government feels the same way.
State police also caught some other drivers where they should not have been, and they gave out several tickets, and one included to this driver on Route 219 in Orchard Park. And this big rig was stopped on the 190 on Grand Island.
I actually had my brother-in-law help me get out of my parking spot earlier today.
Well, some people in Buffalo woke up to see their cars plowed in today. The city wants people to move their cars tomorrow morning.
And News 4's Rachel Monjovi has more on these temporary parking regulations.
Buffalo city officials are asking people parked on side streets to move your car to a main road. Too many streets like this one aren't being plowed because of all the parked cars.
I actually don't know where to park my car if it's not on the street. I don't have access to a driveway.
For many people living in Buffalo, the street is their only parking spot. But with a blizzard warning in effect, city officials want people to move their cars to the closest main street starting at 7 a.m. The city is suspending parking fees at meters and through the Buffalo Roam app all day Thursday. Mayor Byron Brown says if people move their cars, plows can clear all the side streets more efficiently.
We try to get to all of the streets, and when people follow the winter parking regulations, it certainly makes it easier for us to do that. One car parked incorrectly can stop a residential street from getting plowed and opened up.
If you can't move your car, officials ask that you make sure you're parked legally and on the correct side of the street. Crews will conduct a mini tow, meaning they'll move your car to the correct side if you haven't already. Now again, city officials are asking people to move their cars from side streets to main streets if you can. This is not a demand, but it is a request until this snowstorm passes. Reporting in Buffalo, Rachel Monjovi, News 4.
And coming up, how low can you go? The records that were set in the Midwest today.
Plus, a night out. See where blizzard conditions weren't enough to keep some people from grabbing a bite and a drink tonight.
And we're also keeping an eye on that radar as snow continues to fall across parts of western New York.